throw like a short video up and make sure you guys all have a link to this paper and just read about it, think about it. So basically, I didn't see this until 2021 when I saw the first draft of our paper. But I'd had a couple of Skype conversations with, with Tegan for sure. And I was explaining how I'd sketched all the facial features en masse and was analyzing something. And she was explaining, and she started talking about this. And I was just kind of like, well, isn't there some validity to what I was showing? But while I was analyzing the forward-facing painting to the Carter image and the Library of Congress image that I guess people think are real photos of Joseph Smith. Anyway, not going into that right now. But it wasn't until I actually found this in the footnotes, well before we were published in 2021, I was like, oh, I get what she's saying now. Okay. But talking about photoanthropometry, which essentially is figuring out the exact dimensions of, so it's a metric-based facial image comparison technique. Measurements of the face are taken from an image using predetermined facial landmarks. So if that exact distance or whatever from the nose to the ears and on in the photo, and you get another photo of the person, they're going to use those measurements. And then if the measurements don't match up, well, it's not the right person. And they basically concluded results, and they used 25 individuals, and they take into consideration camera lens changes, distance from the camera, and especially angle. There's so many photos of the death mask. I see people analyzing even the Larson daguerreotype, and I'm amazed that they think there's anything that matches, but there is a stock photo, like everyone's downloading, that is not straight on. It's a little bit to our right and above. And I bought that a while back, and before we wrote the paper, and I was just saying, well, okay, maybe I could get permissions for that, and we could use, and then I realized it was not, well, the angle wasn't good. So results showed that the degree of variability in facial measurements of the same individual due to variations in camera and angle can be as great as the variability of facial measurements between different individuals. Results suggest that the photoanthropometric facial comparison, as it currently is practiced, is unsuitable for elimination purposes, right? So saying that this photo is not that person is an elimination. So basically they aren't using that to identify people in photos anymore. But for sure, I think a paper that Tegan, I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head which one it was, but and then many other experts like her, definitely works. Like if you're trying to see, okay, is this person tall enough to be that criminal? They could see that they're standing right next to a pole or something, can figure out the height of that pole and about how tall they are, right? There's still a purpose in it, as long as there's something they know the height of or measurement of. But again, fine details of the face, it just isn't useful. So if you just go back to here and see that this guy's using different camera lenses and also different distance, but he's staying at the same level, and you're just seeing, like if you put the cursor right there on the nose, the mouth, like everything, excuse me, he has all the images of himself lined up perfectly. And so even if we had a photo of his skull at different angles with a different camera, you would think it's too narrow or too big. And so that's why I put this in the video responding to Curtis, who had just a sketch of a skull based on the measurements from 1928 that DJ Bodden did. So Dr. Van de Graaff and Niles Harrod didn't use it because they didn't feel like when they read the description of where they came from that they were talking about specific landmarks, and that they didn't mention having calipers, and in the pictures you do see a flat straight ruler, like a 12-inch ruler you just use in school, and they're like, well, those aren't going to be good measurements, right? But yeah, that's why I'm like, I really don't care that just a sketch from just measurements that I think are unreliable, and he thinks it doesn't fall into place, but also just not taking into consideration some things going on in my photo. And here's a picture from the year 1840, and you can see also, and this is just looking at it, I was looking at it a minute ago, there's actually good lighting. Um, there's light coming from there and there. In my picture, it's mostly all coming from this one side, and they're really, so then the color is blown out, but you can see white and things are just blurred out. It's not super clear. And so this is like the beginning of photography. And you imagine if you take a photo of that, or you take a daguerreotype of a daguerreotype and then a photo of the daguerreotype, that's the quality of my image basically. So and then you can see anthropometry, of course, that's used, and certain people can, like DJ Bottom basically for sure has to be an expert in this, but you're getting physical measurements of someone who's physically there. And so basically, as far as using the skulls, I've talked to many forensic anthropologists. They all, it's like concluded that if you use photos of the skulls, it's too problematic. They would have to physically measure, do anthropometric measurements of the skull in person, and then of the death mask of Joseph Smith, and then of the physical person in the photo, which you can't do. Right. So it's, yeah, they're not gonna disinter the skulls that I know of, but I don't know. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to keep that short and sweet, just so maybe you'll actually watch it all, because it seems really clear talking to people. They, oh, I've followed you for years, but you don't know half of what I've said or found out at all. And it's sad. So I'll just keep trying to do shorter, focused videos. And in the summertime, I struggle so much with pots, so I was just making so many videos. That's why a lot of them are so long, because I just get really bad brain fog and I get a little bit spacey. But yeah, I'll just keep this short. So 20 Living Paper by Ruben Morton, Johanna Morley, Investigation of the Use of Photoanthropometry and Facial Image Comparison. And also you should just check out this guy's Instagram page. Always want to give him credit. Bring it back a little bit farther. It's not showing. There we go. Alex at inthefro.com, professional photographer. So he's just showing you how incredible camera distortion can be.